Hi, and welcome to TonysCool Tools. Thanks for stopping by. And there's one announcement I wanted to make, and that is that I wanted to thank each and every one of you for watching and supporting my channel. By the time you watch this video, I think I'm going to hit my milestone of 15,000 subscribers, and naturally, I couldn't have done it without you. And I appreciate all the suggestions that you have given me on the tools, attachments, and accessories that you want to see on my channel. Please keep them coming in here and give me a comment or send me an email. I really appreciate it. Now, the one job I want to finish after cutting a tree is, what do I do with the stump? Naturally, I cut it as low as I can to the ground, but they're either a toe catcher or, worse yet, when you're mowing, the deck finds this and tears it all up. So I want to find a way of taking care of these easily without having to burn them, drill holes, pour kind of chemicals in it. And today I'm going to show you how I take care of that problem. And in today's video, I'm going to show you an attachment that's going to take care of that problem for me. And it's the Baumalight 3P24. And many of you are familiar with the Baumalight company. They are a North American company that is based out of Canada and makes high-end tractor and skid steer attachments. So I'm extremely fortunate in that I get to test this unit out here and let you know my thoughts on it. Baumalight makes multiple different stump grinders, anything from subcompact, the 1 series, all the way up to 50 horsepower. Now this 3P24 here is a really progressive type stump grinder, and what I mean by that is it utilizes hydraulics here, one to go up and down, one to go left and right. So that speeds up the grinding process, and you'll see that shortly. And if you order one of these 3P24, here's how it ships. So let me give you some details on this Baumalight 3P24. As you can see, it's built like a tank. Everything on it is heavy duty. And it's designed to go on tractors that are between 30 and 50 horsepower. Now, I have seen some people push the limit, especially when we go down, and that is they put them on subcompacts that are either 20 to 25 horsepower. Now, they do work, but you're really pushing your tractor when you do something like that. This happens to be a 40 horsepower Coyote tractor, so I think it should have no problems handling this unit here. This cutting head here is 3/4 of an inch thick and 24 inches wide. And has 34 replaceable teeth. And as a bonus, you get 6 additional teeth free when you order one of these. Now, you may not think that's a lot, but these things are expensive. If you order onesie-twosies, they're $17 a piece. So you want to make sure you don't hit many rocks out there, or try not to at least. So one thing I forgot to mention about the cutting teeth here, these carbide cutting teeth. Baumalight recommends that you break these in. And what I mean by that is, this carbide is extremely razor sharp, and it has corners on it. So they suggest grinding some soft woods or some stump where there's no rocks, so you soften those edges out and they are less susceptible of chipping when you do hit a rock. And any part that moves, pivots, or spins has a Zerk fitting on it. There are 7 Zerk fittings on this one, and there's also brass bushings on the inside, so if you should wear this by a lot of use, you can replace the bushings as well. The hydraulic hoses on this grinder not only have an outer layer of protection with this sleeve here, but they also use this coil braiding here to stop any abrasion from any parts that are moving. And the stump grinder has a floating chip deflector. And the benefit to that is, if you come close to a fence line or your foundation of your house, you can just take this and lift it up. Now you can get much closer to the stump or the area that you want to grind. Though we typically cut our stumps as low to the ground as we can, this unit here can go up to 18 inches high using the hydraulics. Or it can pivot hydraulically from right to left or left to right, 65 degrees. So that's going to save you a lot of time when you're grinding. It does come with a PTO shaft, and the shaft has a slip clutch on it. So if you should hit something hard, you don't have to worry about shear pins breaking and having to replace them. But you may need to cut this shaft if it doesn't fit your tractor. Fortunately, this one fit mine perfectly. This is the first time that I've got a 3-point attachment that I didn't have to cut the PTO shaft down. Now your tractor supplies the power through the PTO shaft here, and it operates at 540 RPM. Now this also comes with a slip clutch and not a shear pin, so you don't have to worry about replacing those every time you hit something hard. But it goes from 540 into this gearbox, which is very similar to your brush hog, and it increases the speed, the RPM, to 810. So now you know why it can chip so quickly, or I should say grind so quickly. You will need 2 sets of hydraulic auxiliary ports in the back here. However, if your tractor does not come with 2 ports, no problem. Let me show you a kit that they have available. It's the S1050 kit that allows you to have one set of auxiliary ports in the back, and it converts it into a 2-way. Let me show you. So here's the S1050 kit. It allows you to have only 1 set of hydraulic ports in your back and puts it in here, and it's a splitter basically that operates both the left and right and the up and down on your grinder there. In addition to that, there's this little valve right over here which allows you to increase or decrease the speed of the grinder. It's from 1 to 5, I believe. They recommend you start at 1 and work your way up once you get proficient at grinding and moving it back and forth. So now that I've told you about the Baumalight 3P24, let's have some fun and grind some stumps. So normally when I cut a tree, I cut the stump way lower than this. But I knew I was going to do a demonstration, so I left this high. This one here is 17 inches to the ground. So as I mentioned before, the grinder here is able to raise up to 18 inches. But who would want to keep grinding so much? Cut the stump low, and then you don't have that much to grind. The other thing is, this is red oak, so it's going to give it a good test on the toughness. And lastly, stumps are like icebergs. Though a lot of it is on top, or a good portion is on top, it flares out at the bottom. And this unit, which I forgot to mention, it goes up and down, but it also retracts below ground 8 inches. So you can remove that, so you can put dirt on it and grow grass if you were going to do something like that. And one thing to mention, as you can see, I had to put 2x6 blocks underneath there because the ground is so soft the machine was sinking into the ground. And I didn't want this to start vibrating. I stopped here and wanted to point a couple of things out. First thing that I noticed is when I'm cutting, if I cut from right to left, it's a lot smoother than when I cut from left to right. Not sure why, but I do know several other YouTubers have pointed that out as well. I don't know if it has to do with the grain or the cutters or whatever, but I'm going to start raising the cutting head up after each cut, bring it back instead of going back and forth. The other thing is the vibration that I was getting from moving from right to, or from left to right, started actually moving the tractor, even though it's this heavy. But the ground, like I say, is so moist. So let me reposition the tractor and I'll start grinding again. One thing I wanted to show you is these carbide tips leave an extremely smooth surface, as you can see here. Now with these small stumps like this 10-inch pine here, I should be able to do it with 1 or 2 passes and take me about 2 to 3 minutes. And just as you saw, just over a minute, and we ground this 10-inch pine stump probably down 2 to 3 inches below ground level. How much easier can it get? So here's a stump that's 24 inches by 29 inches. And I'm going to grind this off camera so I don't have to keep moving the camera around, and I'll get an exact time on how long this takes me to grind. So without having to worry about moving cameras or anything and just focusing on the stump, I was able to get this ground in about 15 minutes. And as you can see, I went well below grade on this one. One thing I forgot to mention in the detail was the cost of this unit. It's approximately $8,000. Now this demo unit is for sale, and I'll have contact information in the info section below. So hopefully if you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and give me a thumbs up as well. And once again, I wanted to thank everyone for supporting my channel and getting me up to 15,000 subscribers. So remember, pass it forward, make the world a better place, and don't be a tool. Watch TonysCool Tools. Until I see you next time, have a great day.